Good morning, sir. Shall we, shall we start?
Hello.
Sir, shall we start?
Yes, we can begin. Yes.
A very good morning to all the participants. I welcome you all to the two-day webinar series on capacity building for life science students, organized by the students of Department of Microbiology, Ethiraj College for Women. The topic for today's session is the art of cracking interviews. I would like to introduce the speaker for today's session. The speaker for today is Mr. Naveen Dubey. Mr. Naveen Dubey is India's leading life and leadership strategist, the founder and CEO TNT International and the New Dynamics Performance Company. Mr. Dubey is a recognized public speaker and leadership coach. He holds expertise in leadership strategies, managing mindsets, and maintaining the art of communication, personal branding, and building a legacy. Mr. Dubey has offered his expertise and services to various organizations and educational institutions. Mr. Dubey is enthusiastic to motivate and help the youth of the world to live a life of their choice. He strongly believes that the right knowledge, skill, and willpower will get you from where you are to where you want to be in life and profession. We are pleased to have you today, sir. I request you to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, and good morning to everyone who are present in this webinar. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for signing up for this webinar at the first place. And I welcome all of you for this webinar. And as well as you're already aware that the topic for today is the art of cracking interviews. So in this entire session, we will be figuring out the tricks, hacks, and skills that are needed to be able to crack interviews. So we'll be having a presentation put across, and that is when you'll be able to see the presentation, and you will be hearing my voice from behind. So if we can have the presentation up. All right. So this is the first slide, art of cracking interviews. So before we begin, guys, so I would like so there are certain ground rules which I would like to establish before we start anything new. So this session is not merely going to be a one-way conversation. I would really appreciate if this is going to be a two-way conversation. I request all the participants to get into the live comment section. You can start commenting, and we'll be giving you certain questions in between, and let's have it running parallelly. All right. So I see a number of good mornings over here. So good morning to one and all. Thank you for being here, and I hope everyone is excited and being able to be present here at around 11 a.m. We can begin the entire things. So now let's begin. So the topic, as you're already aware, is the art of cracking interviews. So how many of you in this webinar today are into their final years, or people who are into say UG final year or PG final years? You can type in yes me, yes me. All right. Okay, so with your permission, before I start beginning my presentation, with your permission, I would like to give you a small introduction of me, who I am, what I do, and what makes me competent enough to give this session. So if we can have the next slide, please. All right, so as you all of you are aware that my name is Naveen, and I am better known as the Naveen Dubey, TND. So that's my branding. So I am India's leading life and leadership strategist, and I am the founder of TND International, as well as the New Dynamics Performance Company. So to give you a background of what I've done is basically I'm a mechanical engineering student. I was a mechanical engineering student, studied at Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, and I have since after finishing my mechanical engineering, I have been doing jobs in 2 or 3 companies. One was a sales company. I'm sure everyone would have heard about this company called Byju's. So I had served Byju's for a year, and then I also worked for a US company. After which I had an intuition that I should start something of my own, and that is where the New Dynamics and TNT International came into the foundation. So the entire agenda and the entire motive of running this company is to understand and to accept that there are many things in this society that to the students basically. So I have this driving passion to helping the students, to motivate them and to uplift their skills. So from the next slide, what we will be doing is we will be giving you certain skills and what are we going to understand in this interview. But before we start doing this, let me be very sure that now for the next 45 minutes, whatever I'm presenting is going to be of pure good value. All right. And I don't want you to miss upon anything. So I give you 30 seconds, grab your notepads, grab your pen so that you can make a lot of notes. And at the end of the session, during the end of the session, there will be a Q&A, question and answer section, where if you have any questions, you can drop in into the comment section so that the organizers who are organizing this webinar will have a note down of that question. And at the end, I will definitely be answering all those questions of yours. And from the next slide, you are going to please focus on the slides and start listening to my voice. Because from the next slide, I will not be visible, but my voice will be audible. The number one skill that we will be learning in this entire program, in this entire webinar, is that listening skills. And I will explain it to you how important listening skill is going to help you when you're into an interview room. So can we have the next slide? All right. So as you can see, skills. We are going to talk about skills. In life, there are many things that we need to understand. Say, many of you, so the earlier day, I was talking to the HOD, and I've had a word with certain students and tried to understand what is the outcome, what are that students are expecting out of this webinar. So the majority of them gave me an answer that, sir, we would like to uplift our skills because the academic knowledge is being taken care at your university, at your place, at the college. But I am here to help you with skills. To be very precise, interview skills. So what are the skills that we need to understand in this campus? Just a campus so next slide, please. Can we have the next slide, please? All right. So as you can see, this is a simple differentiation among knowledge, skill, and ability. I'm sure everyone is having their notepads. Start noting it down because there are many things that you're going to understand from this thing. Now, let's talk about knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is nothing but theory or practical understanding of a subject. A knowledge can be learned through experience. Basically, say baking a cake. Now, that is a knowledge. You can learn from somewhere, you can apply it. So, knowledge is something that increases with experience. So, as time goes by, you increase your knowledge. As you are into your UG, you come to your PG, and then you do your higher studies. That is how you elevate your knowledge. And what is ability? Ability is the quality of doing something, to be able to do something. Say walking is an ability, is a natural ability, because from childhood everyone is trained to walk. Say speaking is an ability, ability to walk, ability to eat, ability to speak. So there are a number of abilities, and all these abilities are inbuilt. Basically these comes from when we are born, and this will also increase as experience goes on because we start understanding new languages. But our major focus for today is going to be on skills. Skills are the primary factors that we are dealing with today. People have knowledge. Mind this, everyone in this society, people who are learning, everyone is knowledgeable. But skills are something that the interviewer is looking at the end of the day. Now, what are skills? So, skills are nothing but proficiencies that you develop through training or experience. By training, what we mean here is by practicing. A skill is something that you develop in the long run by practicing, not just one time, two times, five times a day, but consistent efforts are to be made upon developing a skill. So by practice, you can learn the skill. All right. So it is only mere by through practice that you're going to learn. So now, since this webinar is going to be on interview skills, which is skills based on interviews, you are going to learn about it, but not just learning is going to help you. You've got to understand and you're going to practice all those skills, not just before the interview, but on a regular basis. You need to understand, you need to build your brand. As you've seen on the second slide where I showed you what's my name, what's my title, what I do. Can we go back to that slide, please? The second slide. I request the host to take the slides 2 slides back. Yes. Now, through this slide, what the entire intention of this slide is to tell you that you've got to market yourself, you've got to brand yourself, you've got to be present. Now, this webinar is happening only because of these unusual times, right? Otherwise, we would have been in a seminar hall, I would have come, we have done a presentation. But during these unusual times and these unusual weather and unusual uh, circumstances, we are having this webinar. What do we do at this place? How is it possible? It is merely possible because of this thing called internet. Everyone right this second is on this webinar and have access to internet, and all over the world we have internet. That entire goal is to be present online because this is the age of digitalization. And if you are not present digital, it doesn't work much better, because even if you enter into say a seminar, say if you enter into a interview section, majority of the people do look at your skills, but they also learn about you, they research about you on digital platforms. Like if you see in this slide, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, I have mentioned my profiles. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn by a single username, The Naveen Dubey. Why The Naveen Dubey? Because I've created that brand. And when someone has to have an understanding of me, they don't have to talk to me, they can just go on the Google, they can just an entire access to what I do, where I'm from, what are my services, how can I help people. So the entire motive, this slides is going to tell you that you've got to start being present on various platforms. And so you're from microbiology departments and from very many different course of lives, you can start sharing your knowledge. You can start sharing your knowledge, your life skills, whatever you learn on a daily basis on these platforms. So that when an interview like me, say, jumps in on your LinkedIn profile, we get an access to what you do, what are your thoughts on your subjects, and what are you actually doing in that field. So LinkedIn is going to be a very important factor, because that is something which is very, very, very professional and is always looked upon in the interviews room. So you've got to note it down. If you have a LinkedIn channel, go in today, fill up your LinkedIn, and no, make sure that you get all the 5 stars so that your LinkedIn profile is complete, and start having connections with people who are in your field. You can also give me a connection request. I'll be there and we can have a conversation there as well. So can we jump back to the last slide? The next slide, please. Yes. So we spoke about knowledge, skills, and ability. From here, we are going to understand, we've understood that knowledge is something that you gain at your college through your subjects, through your lab trainings, through your research. That's how you develop knowledge. Ability is your natural ability of doing anything. But in this webinar today, all we are going to focus is on skills. And if you closely observe, skills are of 2 types. So can we have the next slide, please? Yes. So this slide gives you an introduction of what are the 2 types of skills. Number one are the hard skills, and the other is the soft skills. Now, hard skills are pretty understandable if you just go through this entire thing. If you look at your left, hard skills basically are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. What are the examples? Say proficiency in a language. You can take up a German language course, you can take up a Russian course, then you can have a degree or certificate. Whatever you're doing at your college, after finishing your UG, PG, you're going to get a certification, a degree. Now that is a hard skill, like machine operation, computer programming, and say for your department, you guys been into labs, you do number of tests, number of experiments. So anything that is visible physically, that ability is called hard skills. Say running a machine, operating a machine. These are the things which come under hard skill. But there are certain skills which are invisible. These are the skills which you cannot see from your eyes, but you can only feel and you can figure it out. These are the skills which can be interpreted. Therefore, these skills are called people skills and interpersonal skills. Now, what are the skills? Number one, communication. Communication is the key to cracking an interview. Your knowledge, your resume, your CV, all those things are secondary, but you've got to be an excellent communicator to be able to crack an interview. Number two skill, if you check out, is flexibility. Then leadership, teamwork, time management. Now, if you think about it, these skills are something which you cannot see physically. And these are a part of a lifestyle. A good person, a good manager, a good leader will always have efficient time management, will be able to manage the team effectively, is a effective leader, and is flexible to challenges, and is an excellent communicator. Can we have the next slide, please? Yes. So as I mentioned, today's section is going to be on communication skills. What are the skills that is needed to be able to crack an interview and to understand communication as a whole. Now, if you closely observe, so I really understand that during these lockdown periods, colleges are shut down, libraries are shut down, the education medium has taken down its pace, and there are a number of difficulties arising. But I believe that lockdown is a boon. Okay, if you closely understand and if you take it in a positive way, you've got like around 80 to 90 days already, and say of your 20 30 days are coming up again. So around 120 to 130 days we have got free, and we could have, if we would have understood, if we really wanted, we could have used this time to improve our communication skills. Now communication skills, if you since you people are in your UG and PG, you would have also undergone through this subject called soft skills, and they would have always taught you communication skills. There are four types. If you rethink, they will tell you about the LSRW skills. So if you can mention, let's see into the chat box. Can you type in what are the skills that you have learned? What are the soft skills? What are the four types of communication skills that you have been taught in your classrooms? You can type in into the comment section. All right. So as we were talking about LSRW skills, the next slide, please. Perfect. So this slide tells you about the four types of communication: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Any person on this planet can communicate through these four mediums. Right now, right this second, you are reading the slides, right? You are going through the slides, what are the content, what is written to the slides. So you are communicating through reading. At the same time, you are not able to see me, but you're listening to my voice. That is where you're communicating with me through listening, and I am communicating through you by speaking. And writing, all of you know, through your textbook, through journals, through materials on the internet. That is how we understand. Now, out of all these four skills, LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, what do you think is the most important skill for a person to master in an interview specifically? What skill is going to help you in an interview? Which is the most effective skill out of all these four? Yes, any guesses? All right, let me tell you. The next slide, please. Perfect. So the most effective skill is speaking skills. So go into your comment section, go into the chat box, start typing speaking skills, speaking skills, speaking skills. Okay? Yes, please do that. So the most effective skill is speaking skills. Why? Many of you understand why. How many of you present over here have had this experience? You are in a classroom and you're attending a lecture, the lecture goes on well, you understand everything, but then all of a sudden you have a doubt, right? You have a doubt and you start thinking, so you got to clarify this doubt. Think of asking the teacher to clarify the doubt, but not many of you stand up and ask questions or able to speak and clarify your doubts. Why is that? This comes because of fear. The fear of making a mistake is the number one fear that is affecting everyone. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of failing, and the fear of what people will talk about you. These are the three fears that is ruining literally everyone's life. If you agree, type yes in the chat box. All right. So you've got to break this fear. In the later section of the webinar, I will tell you how to break this fear, but for now you got to understand the speaking skill is a must, because in an interview room you are going to be present with the interviewer one on one, face to face, and it is only through communicating, only through speaking is how you will be able to communicate. I understand there are a number of people in this webinar. You might know there are a number of people who are no good in academics. They might get 9 cgpas, 8 cgpa, or do very good in their academics, but what is the use of your knowledge if you're not able to communicate that knowledge in an effective way when it's needed? You can memorize an answer, put it down in an answer sheet, get 10 on 10, but if you cannot explain that same concept standing on stage or sitting in an interview or standing in a seminar, what is the use of that knowledge? You've got to understand, my dear friends, that life is all about communication. You have the knowledge, but how does the other person understand that you've got the knowledge? Through your mark sheets? No. Mark sheet is going to be your ticket. Mark sheet is going to play as a role for you just to enter into the interview. But after that, it is you, your knowledge, your skills, and your communication that is going to help you get the job of your dreams. So you're not late. There's a lot of time. You've got to start being serious about taking this step. Start building your communication skills. How you do that? Very simple. You all of you have your Android devices, your laptop. Put on the camera, record, or say a 2-minute video in English or in any language, and after recording, go back, listen to it, find out the filler words, find out the areas where you're making mistake, understand, and then re-record 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. The more you do it, the more effective you become. That is my opinion. The every time you perform it, the more effective you become. So you've got to really master speaking skills. In the next slide, I will tell you what are the components of speaking. So can we have the next slide, please? Correct. So there are four speaking skills. Four speaking skills. Repeat after me. The number one skill is fluency. Second is the vocabulary. Third is grammar. And the fourth is pronunciation. Fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Now, to the people who are listening and people who understand English would have found out that I made a mistake. I made a mistake when I was talking about these four skills: fluency, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. So you've got to understand an interviewer is going to keenly observe your pronunciation as well, because pronunciation is not called as pronunciation, but it's spoken as pronunciation. Though the spelling is pronoun, if you check over here, I've clarified it for you. It's pronunciation, but the spelling is entirely different. So you've got to understand its pronunciation. Now, what is fluency in a language? It is not perfection, my dear friends. You don't have to be perfect in a language. What is the need of language? I'm sure that many people in this webinar, say even a few years back, even I had this phobia of talking in English because I was not really fluent. I was not really fluent in English, but that doesn't mean I need to be perfect in English. English is a language. Basically, you can call it as a global language because it's a global language and you can communicate through this language on the entire planet. Okay, literally on the entire planet, you can communicate with people of any country through English. So, English is just a medium, and you don't have to be perfect in English, but you've got to use the right English in the right way, in the right tone, in the right context to be able to communicate. Again, I am stressing on communication. Why? Because the only reason why languages are developed is only for communication. Let it be Tamil, Hindi, Telugu, Malayalam, whatever language that is present in India, it is developed only for communication in that locality. In the same way, treat English as an international language for communication. You don't have to be perfect, but you've got to be fluent. Fluent is talking fluency is nothing but talking relevantly, talking in relevance, and you can talk very slowly. You don't have to rush. If you hear me, I am trying to speak very, very slowly. I could be very fast. Right? I can be very fast, but what is the use of talking very fast? When you're communicating, you've got to stress on certain words, and that is how you communicate. So, fluency is number one thing. Number two is vocabulary. I understand, and after I've spoken to a few students, I've understood that vocabulary is going to be a big problem. Say when you enter into an interview room, you are there for a specific purpose. Your purpose is to get the job, and the job, say, it can be in a food factory. You can work into the quality check inspection, right? So there are a number of platforms that you can work on. Say, since you belong from the department of microbiology, what are the vocabulary that you need to master? There are two types of vocabulary. Number one, it's technical vocabulary. Technical vocabulary. Number two is personal vocabulary. So the technical vocabulary you've got to understand from the subjective point of view. You've got to use certain vocabulary, certain words that are technical, that are related to your subject, right? And the personal vocabulary is how you develop. Say you can use happiness, you can use I'm rejoiced, I'm joyful. So synonyms of words can help you with that. No, you've got to understand how to explain a situation with one word. Say anxiety. Rather than saying I feel depressed, I feel stressed, you can say I am having anxiety. So developing your personal vocabulary as well as your technical vocabulary when it comes to your interview skills. You've got to understand, you've got to take note and develop your technical vocabulary at a very fast rate. Say 5 words a day, or say literally just 1 word a day. 1 word a day will give you, after a year, some 365 new words, new technical words in your vocabulary list. How about having 365 new technical vocabulary in comparison to your past experience? Or say in comparison to the other candidates who have come into vocabulary as well, that is going to help you and is going to give you the edge. Okay, the word is edge is going to give you an edge in your interview point. The number three is grammar. Everyone have understood what grammar is right from your no from your lower classes. You've been studying grammar, and I believe at this point of time there are still many people who would spell grammar as GRAMMER, but which is not ER but AR. So you've got to really structure your sentences in such a way that it is relevant, right? So there are certain legal ways and there are certain structures which are given by the grammar suggests you. Say all the parts of speech you got to understanding the vowels, understanding the modal verbs. So those are the things, but you've got to structure a sentence. Okay, so grammar is one important thing, and the last part is pronunciation. You've got to pronounce the words as it is. Okay, I'm not stressing on the personal part, but let's keep it technical. The technical words, you got to pronounce it in the right way. So these are the 4 skills that are going to help you in speaking. But guess what? In the next slide, I'm going to show you something very amazing. All right, in the next slide, I'm going to show you something very amazing that is literally going to blow your mind. And the next slide alone can help you. How do I say it? The next slide alone can give you an insight or can be a superpower for you. So are you ready for the next slide? Yes, type in yes, type in yes in the comment section. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. All right, guys. So did you know, according to a study by UCLA, up to 93% of communications is non-verbal. What do we mean by non-verbal? Non-verbal is basically you don't have to speak. So 93% of your communication is not from your speech. I did say that speaking is a very important skill, but not entirely. If you closely observe, your the 38 percentage is given to your voice quality. Voice quality does not mean you've got see, everyone has very different sounds, very different voice. It doesn't mean that this kind of voice will get more attracted. No, voice quality is how you train your voice, how do you use your voice, and how do you use the modulations in your voice. Every voice is unique, every voice is respected. It's just how you take care of that voice and how you use it in the interview room. That's 38 percentage. But what is in the majority? What is in the majority? What is 55 percentage? Type in body language. Go to the comment section, type in body language. 55% of communication is only through body language. You've got to understand 55% is just body language. How you stand, how you sit, how you walk, how you look, how you smile, everything. Literally everything is covered up in body language. And what about speaking? How many percentage? Merely 7 percentage. But 7 percentage is also important because you just cannot go stand in an interview, just look at the interview and smile, right? You cannot just go and smile and say, "Hi, sir, how are you doing?" No, you can't do that. You got to speak. So 7% is words, and in that 7%, all your grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation is been taken care of. But the balance 93% is 38% voice quality, 55% correct. Now, voice quality. So that I will give you certain factors. Let me give you three things that will help you understand your voice quality. Number one, these are three. So if you're noting it down, it's very good. I'm reminding you of all because you've got to start taking notes, guys. Start understanding and start taking notes because this is going to help you in the long run, right? Because whatever you listen to is retained in your brain not for more than 10 to 15 percentage. Whatever you write is retained for more than 50 percentage, and whatever you write and perform is retained for 100 percentage. Understand that. So in voice, there are 2 to 3 qualities. So there are three factors in voice. Number one, pitch. You can note it down, pitch, pitch. Now, pitch is going to determine a lot about your voice quality. So there are certain people who like talking very loudly, and there are certain people who like to talk very, in a very low tone. So they can be like, "Hello, sir," such a very low voice and very, very slowly. And some people are like who will start shouting, and they're like, "Sir, this is what I do. This is my passion. This is my goal." So you've got to understand what is your natural pitch. Don't try to fake it. If you're going to fake it, you will never make it. Okay, this is a good quote. You can put it down. If you fake it, you will never make it. So your pitch is going to determine. So you can work on your pitch. Number two, you can work on your pace. Pace is basically speed. You can talk very fast or you can talk very, very slow. No matter whether you talk very fast or you talk very slow, that doesn't make a difference. But you need to understand how you use it effectively. Number three, you can use pauses. Okay, effective communication. This, as we're talking about, this webinar is majority focusing on effective communication. Majority, say most effective speakers of the country or in the world were always master of pauses. What does that mean? When you make an important point, you got to leave some silence, okay, some pause. That is how you make things effective. Now, these are the things which you have already been saying. One good example I can give you, I believe many people are here from Tamil Nadu, specifically from Chennai. So even in the Tamil industry, the movie industry, the dialogues, okay, the most iconic dialogues are always, if you check out, are the master of pauses. They use this skill very effectively, and the person who's doing it very good is Mr. Rajnikant. Okay, is Mr. Rajnikant. Now, I think there's a dialogue somewhere I've heard this. He says in Tamil that "Na oru thadavu sonna nooru thadavu sonna mari," right? But how does he say that? Look at the gap. "Na oru thadavu sonna nooru thadavu sonna mari." You understand the intensity it brings. So the once you start giving the quality, okay, once you start giving pauses, so there are certain words you can stress on. Okay, now for an example, I'm going to give you one more example. So write down this thing. What are you doing? Write the second on your notepad. Please write down what are you doing. WHATARE, you doing, question mark. Now these are four words, right? What are you doing? Now let's see how does your voice, stressing and pitch is going to affect this particular sentence. Number one, let's focus on what. Say, use the word what and then put all the three together. Say, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? Now this gives you a meaning that actually what are you doing, right? But now take away what, focus on are. What are you doing? What are you doing? This has changed the meaning. Yes or no? Type in yes if you think, right? What are you doing? And if you're going to focus on the third letter U, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? Now this is pointing at a particular person. What are you doing? But if you're going to focus on the last thing, what are you doing? You would have heard this sentence always in classrooms. What are you doing? So just a simple sentence, four-letter sentence, which is an interrogative question. What are you doing? Once you start focusing on every single letter, the meaning changes every time. So even in interview, if you are going to focus on the wrong letter or on the wrong word, the entire meaning of that sentence changes and the communication is not happening. You've got to understand this point. Very important point. You've got to understand your voice quality and develop where you pause on the right pronunciation and where you stress on what words you stress on. 55 percentage we come back to body language. Very, 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 very important. How? Because your eye speaks, your face speaks, your body speaks, your hand speaks, your leg speaks, every part in your body speaks. Yes or no? Do you do you agree to this or not? If you agree, type yes, I agree. Right? Yes, body language is key. Body language is key. Along with, say, just understand a good body language with an amazing combination of voice quality and a decent word can fetch you the interview of your dreams, can get you the company that you want. Always, every time. I've done that myself. I've attended 7 interviews in a row, cracked all seven. But yes, of course, I went to only one company. But how about the experience that I've gained at that place? It's merely through these three factors. So body language very efficient. So can we go to the next slide? All right. So the importance of body language during a job interview. So today's session is totally on the art of cracking interviews. You've already understood how important skills are. Knowledge is very important. Yes, you've got to have that good CGPAs, good technical knowledge. Along with that, you have the natural ability, but you've got to develop your skills. And interview skills is one among them. Speaking skills is one among them. And body language is again a skill which you need to develop. And how do you develop it? Through practice. What is the word? Practice. Write it down in the comment box. Practice, practice, practice. Yes. So the importance of body language is huge because let's see or not. Let me ask you a question. Please answer this honestly. Say if you were an interviewer and someone enters the interview room, merely by their appearance, do you judge them or not? Yes or no? Be very honest. Be very honest at this place. Do you judge them or not? It's very obvious, my dear friends. We start judging people right the second we see them, right? Right the second we see them, we start judging them. So you've got to understand that you've got to be presentable. right? You've got to be presentable. The way you walk alone, okay, the way you walk alone will give the interviewer a 90% hint whether you will get the job interview or not. You know how? Because if you're walking in a trembling way, and if you're nervous and you're not confident, it is evident on your body language. It is very well seen on your face. I know it is very well face, but you've got to be confident, act confident. Okay, act confident. You've got to be confident with that. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so there are certain depictions of how you can look at it. Let's see here. Certain body languages. So the character is speaking, right? Unlike you and me, the character is not speaking. It is just making some body postures, some actions, and the actions are telling us what they mean or what are they trying to communicate. So you've got to understand your body is very, very important. How you carry your body is much more important than how you carry your knowledge. So we jump to the next slide. Okay, so what does your interview body language say about you? All right, this is the place where everyone is stressed out, everyone is worried, and I'm sure there are many people in this section where people are seeing. Okay, so I hope you're getting value of the time that you've invested. If you think that you're learning, type yes. Say I'm learning. Say I'm learning. Type in I am learning if you really believe you're learning, and I will tell you the reason why I'm asking you to do all this. Okay, please type in. So what does your interview body language says about you? It says a lot. Whether you're prepared, whether you're not prepared, are you serious about the job? Are you not serious about the job? How confident are you? It is revealed by your body. Okay. So in this entire webinar, one place I'll be talking about a mirror technique, which you should really observe. And hopefully you've got to start rehearsing your answers, not memorize again. Okay. Understand the difference between rehearsing and memorizing. You don't have to memorize answers. And I will also give you my magic 7 question. Okay. 7 question to getting the job that you want. I will give you 7 questions that can be asked in an interview. And if you answer all these 7 questions correctly, honestly, authentically, no doubt you have good chances of cracking that interview and get that job. But if you mess up, okay, if you mess up with any one among them, that can lead to not getting a job. So you've got to be understanding at this place. You've got to take it very seriously. All right, you've got to take it very, very, very seriously. All right, so can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so these are certain body language tips that you can note it down. I'm sure everyone is having a notepad. Please note it down. So I will read it out for you. Please note it down. So on the left hand side, if you closely observe, it says maintain good eye contact. Okay, it doesn't mean that you've got to stare at the interview side. Okay, don't frighten the other person, poor guy. Okay, you've got, when you're making an important point, you've got to have eye contact. Otherwise, you should probably you should look around, but not 360-degree left or right. Okay, so when you're making an important point, you've got to look, you've got to make an eye contact, and don't wander. Just don't look around what is on the sofa, what is on the what trophies has the company's got. You don't have to see all those things. Be focused, because we are looking for person who is focused. Because if you're not focused in interview, how will you be focused in the job? You got to understand. If you check the point below, it's in red because you've got to understand that you don't make that mistake. What does it says? Don't cross your arms. Okay, because it comes as an defensive or uninterpreted. Say you're making an important point, say the interviewer asking you some question and you have a folded hand. That body language is very bad and is not appreciated. A folded hand is going to tell the interviewer that I am not interested, or I don't wish to answer this question, and that is offensive. And we are not in the interview room to have a bad impact. You are there to make a positive impact. One, to get a job. See, there are two goals that you can have in an interview. Number one, get the interview. Number two, make a positive impact. There are only two things. There's never that you either get a job, don't get a job. I don't believe in those things. You either get a job, or number two, you leave a positive impact that the interviewer remembers you, okay, for your kindness, for your gesture, for your goodwill. They remember you. So the next time you approach them, and the next time you have an interview again with them, by chance, it is going to add on. Okay, so you've got to understand, leave an impact. That is where I teach my students on legacy building. You've got to build that thing. The third part, if you see, is practice your handshake. You've got to have a stiff handshake, but not tight. Okay, stiffness is important, not very tight, not as if you're rushing to the show. Okay, now this is wrestling competition, so your handshake got to be stiff, and it's a depiction of confidence. You got to parents and your teachers practice the handshake, and make sure you don't have a fishy handshake. You know those are girly handshakes. Okay, you don't have to have those fishy handshakes. Those are not recommended in a professional outfit. Okay, and the fourth thing that if you see is avoid trying to cross your legs, right? Because you're not the boss. The first point is you're not the boss. You can have normal, simple pants, put your legs straight, sit erect, straight your the backbone, and have the interview. No crossing your legs, because once you cross your leg, the next time you want to put a point, you've got to take away the leg, and that creates disturbances. Okay, the focus is broken over there, so don't do that. On the right side, if you check, keep an interested expression and don't forget to smile. If look at the word interested expression, why? If you're not interested, why would an interviewer give you a job? You got to be interested in the first place, so you got to show it on your face. Go to the mirror, show how you look interested. Ask your friends, ask your parents, ask your teachers. Get your body language 100% right, my dear friend. That is going to help you a lot. So have a interested expression and don't forget to smile. Okay, you got to smile. Smiling gives a positive vibe in the interview hall. The next thing is, remember good posture and sit up straight. No bending, no leaning down, no going on the left, right. No, straight and erect. Number four, don't overuse your hand gestures. Okay, no, many of us have this ability and the practice, okay, of always putting your hands in front and while making a point. Sometimes yes, no, say in a minute maybe one or two times, but frequently that is not appreciated. Okay, okay, so don't overuse hand gestures. You don't want to distract from what you're saying, because once you're saying something you distract the other person. Number four, the last one, okay, the last one, very important. This is the core. If this point is not there, all others are not going to work. You've got to remain calm. Don't make feel like a tap dance. Okay, because for many people, once we enter into the interview hall, we get nervous, our legs start trembling, and we do this tuck 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 sound with the legs. And especially if you have a chapel, that's going to be a bad thing. So you got to remain calm, remain confident, and talk slowly, my dear friends. I will tell you something. I'll give you a trick. Let me give you this trick. When while you're talking, don't talk fast, because your mind is going to tell you you got to finish the interview and run. Okay, that is what your mind is going to tell you, that finish it fast as you can and run away from here, because your mind is looking for a fight or flight. Okay, it is trying to escape, and it is only your mind that is going to get you a job, or is going to destroy your chances of getting a job. So you got to take control of your mind, take control of your body, be calm, and let's see how we can do that. Okay, so we jump to the next slide now. All right, so interview. Okay, five simple tips that you can always use. Number one, dress appropriately. If you're so you got to understand what job are you going for in the first place, and dress accordingly. Check with the company or visit. Say, I'll give you say this. Use this golden rule. Before going for an interview, visit that company's office 1 or 2 day before. 1 or 2 day before, do a research on the internet. No problem. They will have internal images as well. If you find a place, and if you're personally able to go over there, 100% very good. You can interact with those staff members, understand what are the needs of the company, look at their dressings, so you can have a lot more experience that way. And once you get go prepared, that is how you crack an interview. You cannot just randomly enter into a interview hall with no understanding of company, and no, that makes things different. Number one, dress appropriately. Number two, arrive in good time. So let me give you a thing different from this. I would say never be on time, my dear friends. Never, 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 never be on time. But be early. Never be on time, but be early. 10 minutes, half an hour, 30 minutes before the interview, you can go there, you can meet the other candidates, develop network, develop network, understand how the workflow is going and how everyone is feeling about it. So be early. Number three, body language. Very, 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 very important. You've got to understand, it's the key. Number four, expect the unexpected. I would like to draw your attention to this particular point. Expect the unexpected. So, as a microbiologist, if you're entering an interview and you talk about, say, sir, I have this experience, I can do this, I can do that, at any point of time, the interviewer can ask you to perform that particular task that you just said. They can have a laboratory in the next room and they can ask you, okay, go do this thing and bring the results. All right. So, you've got to understand that you're not going to impress the other person by talking lies. Say what you know, be yourself, be honest, and if you really can do something, tell it. And if you're very confident, do it as well. So be ready for that. Be ready for anything, literally anything. If you're a teacher and if you go for a teaching interview, if there's an interview like me, I will definitely take you to a classroom and ask you to tell you to teach the students. So you got to be ready for all that. And number five, you've got to ask questions. How do you get something, my dear friends, in life? You just cannot sit and say, I need it, I need it. You've got to ask. Only when you ask, you get it. If you wish, you don't get it. Okay, you've got to ask questions. You've got to, yes, you've got to ask questions. And what questions to ask, I will tell you. Okay, the next slide, please. All right, so the skills related to interview is called employability skills because you're applying for employment. And say if there are people in this webinar who would also like to be an entrepreneur and to start their own company, but when you also run your own company, you've got to employ them, right? So these skills are also important for you. Okay, so the next slide, please. All right, for a job interview, what are the things that are important? On the left hand side, if you check, analyze the job. Never go to an interview without reading the job description. You've got to understand what the company is expecting of in that particular post or in that particular from that particular person. Analyze the job. The second thing you've got to do the understand, see the job or what are the benefits of the company, what are the you updated on what the and for mission the company. Number two, this provides for the company. And if you have suggestions, because you can people who come up with suggestions. So we got that part. Appropriate clothing we've already spoken on. Then salary expectation that you can have it in your resume. You've got to make a checklist before whether you have your dress ironed and all of the things, right? And resumes and references. Check your resume and have references from your HOD, from your staff, from places where you have taken internships. You can get all that. All right. So can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello? If you guys can hear me, type in yes. All right. Perfect. All right. So I'll repeat the points again. Analyze the job, research the company, good clothing, check your checklist, have your resumes, and don't forget to include the references in the resume. All right. From your HOD, from the internship places where you attended. So these are the things that you got to understand and take note. And the next slide, please. Perfect. Now, these are the things which you got to note down. Please note it down or take a screenshot of this thing. This is very, very, very important. There are three stages in interview: pre-interview, the interview session, and post-interview. And what do you have to do pre-interview? Write it down. Number one, reread your resume. Never use the same resume that you have used for the past interview, because the job description may vary, the company may vary, the values may vary, and accordingly you've got to make changes in your skills as well, because if you're presenting for a marketing role, you got to have certain marketing skills. If you're in a technical part, you got to showcase technical skills. So always reread your resume. As an interviewer, please reread, and you will understand that whether the placements of all the content is right or wrong. Number two, work out on your clothes. Have them ironed, wash them clearly, and keep them perfect. Number three, rehearse your interview. Go to a mirror, talk. How will you introduce yourself? That's very important. You've got to understand and practice it. Number four, work out a strategy for dealing stress. What about you start feeling stress during an interview? What will you do? How will you manage? You can rehearse it before itself. Number four, read JD carefully. JD here means job description. JD is job description. Please read the job description and accordingly prepare your resume or CV. Okay, understand that. And have a note of your interview timings and be early. Okay, and when you are in an interview, okay, the second part is in an interview, you got to understand these five skills. Number one, be yourself. Never try to imitate. Okay, never try to imitate. Be yourself. Number two, be honest. Okay, you're not there to make any lies. Don't say a lie. If you don't know something, you've got to tell them, sir, I'm extremely sorry, I am not aware of this, or I do not know this. You got to be honest. If you don't know, say don't know. Don't make things up. Okay, when you make things up, you mess things up. Don't do that. Number three, be prepared to talk, but not too much. Okay, because that is going to be a two-way conversation, so you've got to talk relevantly. Okay, talk relevantly, but don't over talk. The next point is, don't be afraid to ask questions. The number one skill that you will learn at the end of the interviewer will ask you, do you have any questions for me? Please note this down. Do you have any questions for me? And you should have a question. Never say, no, sir, I have no questions. Everything is cool. Thank you. No. Have a question. Ask something. You can even ask about, sir, okay, now that the interview is over, as an interviewer, can you tell me how did I do? How was my interview? Okay, how did I perform? Then or you can also ask, in what ways can I improve? But never ask, sir, did I get my job, or sir, what will be my salary? Don't ask all these things. These can be taken care in the post interview. These are processes and activities which have been taken care after the interview. So please always ask questions. Number two, always clarify your doubts. If you don't understand, you can say, I'm sorry, sir, can you please repeat the question? Okay, never hesitate. Don't give the wrong answers. Always clarify. Okay, and when you're answering, give with examples. Illustrate your answers with examples. Be ready to sell yourself. Why did I use the word sell yourself? At the end of the day, you are your own product, and you've got to explain your USP is unique selling points. Okay, you got to explain your USP to the interviewer. You being the product, you need to tell your qualities, your qualification, your competence, and why the interviewer should hire you. It's your job. You're marketing yourself. So be ready for that. Number five, the last point is, be interesting. No person will like a boring person, right? You got to be interesting, you got to have interesting stuff. You want to tell them, sir, I like this. You can also talk a little. So if there's space little and the interview is okay, you can talk about your personal life or what are your goals in life. Say something interesting. So if you're an interesting person, everyone likes you. And the post interview part is again an important thing. Why? It is during this point where you leave an impact. If you look at the first point, know when the interview is over. Read the employer's body language. One important factor is that in an interview, if an interviewer is leading you, start taking control. You got to start leading. All right. You also have to understand if the interviewer is satisfied with the answer or not. Read the body language. So develop that skill. So start talking with people. Start understanding their body language. And then ask something. Am I right or wrong? Okay. The body language. The next point is thank the interviewer. Thank him. Say thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Never leave. Okay, thank you. Leave. Okay, appreciate them. Ask, no, appreciate them. Last part, if you check, learn from experience. Ask for feedback if necessary. I would say ask for feedback even if it is not necessary. Ask for a feedback because feedbacks are always very important. Feedbacks are going to help you to understand what you need to improve. And in life, and never in life, you got to understand this, my dear friends. Right? This second, many people are into this webinar. What we can do is, I'll give you very astonishing statistics. 90% in this webinar, if you attend an interview, because I've seen this when I was taking an interview, out of 90% do not make it for the job. There are only 10% people who are interested in the job. Why do I say interested? Other people come just to try. Never try for a job. If you're interested for a job, you got to be prepared. If you go unprepared, you're just making a try and you're making a guess. Okay, don't do that. Because when you don't get a job, you start blaming. When you don't get a job, you start blaming. You never look back that what preparations have you done to get that job, what trainings have you undergone to get that job, what are your input in there. So you got to understand that. So can we have the next slide, please? All right, so there can be behavioral questions in the interview session. They can give you situations, tasks. Okay, so say the interviewer gives you an explanation. Say in microbiology, they can say in an experiment you don't get an desired result or desired outcome. How will you get it? So that's a behavioral question. So this is the STAR technique that you can use. STAR technique number one, yes. Situation. You've got to analyze the situation, tell what the situation is. Number two, what are the tasks that you can take to tackle that situation? What are the actions that are required? And what are the results that you think that the experiment will give? This is the technique that you can use for every behavioral question or situation based question. Understand the situation, analyze your task, what actions are you going to take, and what results are you expecting. You can take a screenshot of this and you can always use this. Can we have the next slide, please? All right, so we are almost at the end of the slides. And how do you get all those things? How do you attend an interview? How do you uh, be good at that? How do you develop? It's all through training. How training happens? See, you can either learn, okay? You can learn from internet, you can go around browsing, or you can attend workshops at places. You can develop skills, you can go for coaching, you can gain knowledge, or you can teach. I think the best way to learn anything is teach. That is what I believe in, and that is what I do. Right now I'm teaching. So the more you teach, more you understand, more you develop that skills. So right this point of time during this lockdown, I'm very sure that many of you are into the lockdown and you think that this is a very bad time to learn, education is not working, and many things are uh, not falling in place. As I mentioned during the beginning of the webinar, that this is the best time that you can get. I've never seen such a time in the history till I've born that around 120 to 30 days are given free. Okay, nothing is happening, everything is at stake. No transport, no communication, no library, but one thing that is working is internet. You've got to use the power of internet, my dear friends. Like this webinar, like you've attended this webinar, this is of course, I believe this is free of cost. Just like this webinar, there are many webinars happening on the internet. Go on Google, type in, look for what you're learning. Never make an excuse that during this lockdown period I am not able to learn, I am not able to upgrade my skills. I will say that this is the best time. And if you want resources where to learn, I can help you out with that. Okay, I can help you out. So right now, note it down. Note down the resources that you can use during this lockdown to learn free of cost. Okay. So the number one resource. The number one resource is a six-letter word. Is a platform which has a six-letter word, and it is spelled as Google. Yes, it's Google. Why? Google is the best thing you have. It's Mother Google. I call it Mother Google. Whatever you type in, you get an answer. You can go on Google, ask how to develop body language, it will show you. On YouTube, you have number of videos, right? So Google is the mother of all information. Use Google. Number two is an ally of Google, which is YouTube. So all of you are aware that YouTube is a video platform, and from professional to entertainment to everything, you get it on YouTube. Why use it on entertainment? Say, I don't say don't entertain yourself. If you are, you can. Say if you're looking at YouTube for entertainment for 2 hours, dedicate another 2 hours for learning. Okay, a 4 hour on YouTube can be helpful. Leave your entertainment part, an hour or two on YouTube for your personal development to upgrade your technical skills as well. Okay, there are many channels for microbiology where professors of esteemed institutions come and explain various processes and give academic knowledge. Use YouTube. Number three, if you want to develop speaking skills, body language, there's a platform on Android as well as on iOS. It's called TED Talks. So you can download the Android application, use that, and work wonders on that, right? TED Talks. These are three things. Fourth one, okay, the fourth part is work on this thing called LinkedIn Learning. Please note it down, LinkedIn Learning. It is again an application available on all platforms. And at this place, there are industry leaders who come themselves, say CEO, marketing heads. These are the people who come over there and help you develop that skill. They train you on that, and it's absolutely free of cost. Sign up for a LinkedIn account, develop your LinkedIn account, download LinkedIn Learning, and spend your time. Earlier, before lockdown, what used to happen, everyone was busy with their academics. You had college from morning 8 up to 2 or 6, and then you go back home, you work, you do your homework, and there are many other things. These times are very lenient. Yes, you might have some say assignments and all of the examinations online, but during your free time, you can use this thing. At least you cannot give an excuse that we don't have time, sir. You have a lot more time than ever, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. I hope I'm not, right? You have a lot of time to use it. So LinkedIn Learning is a very important platform. Apart from that, many other applications are going to help you. Google, as I mentioned, you have a platform called Upgrad. Okay, Upgrad is a training application where for people like say microbiology department. So there are a number of competitive exams that take place after you finish your UG, PG for getting into jobs. Start researching about the jobs on Google, and you will find courses about that particular department, and you can take those courses on Upgrad or say Byju's. There are many platforms, many e-learning platforms available. You can take access of them. Okay, you can take access of them, and through all these platforms you can develop learning. So let there be no more excuses and start taking action, because it is very easy for us to talk. It's very easy for us to talk, to blame, and to tell that we are not able to do, this is not working. See, guys, these are unusual circumstances. Coronavirus is declared as a pandemic. No one knows how far this is going to be, how long this is going to be. But during these times, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to upgrade yourself. You have a decision to make. Either remain how you are, okay? Either remain how you are, or take the risk take the challenge every day, learn a new skill. Okay, I am not asking you to double your skills. Okay, I'm not asking you work 10 times a day, 50 times a day. No, you've got to improve just 1% a day. If you improve, say if you're doing something 1% a day, if you improve 1% a day, at the end of the year, how many percent have you improved? Many people improve by 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, because they work on an annual basis. But I'm asking you to improve just 1% a day, not even 100. 1% a day in a year will give you 365% ahead of all your competitors. Start working on yourself, start taking yourself seriously. All right, the next slide, please. So yes, this is a quote by me. I've created this quote, but just focus on the content. What does it say? Talk is cheap, action takes courage, because it takes literally no money to talk. I am talking, you can talk, you talk to people, you say, I can do this, I can do that, I have this, I have that. But how many of you actually take action into achieving all that? If you want a dream job, question yourself, what have you done? What steps have you taken? What actions have you taken? What trainings have you undergone? What lessons have you learned? What experience have you got? Don't talk. You can talk, but talk after you've done it. Okay, so talk is cheap, action takes courage. With this, I rest my webinar for today. Thank you for joining. Can we have the next slide, please? So yes, thank you for joining, and I would now I open the forum for Q&A, question and answers. If you have any questions, please type in the comment section. I will be happy to help you and happy to answer all those questions, unknown answers. So please start doing that. At the same time, let me give you the things that I promised you at the beginning. I promised you that at the end of the session, I am going to give you my 7 question trick. Okay, you answer all these 7 questions properly, you can do good job. Okay, so please note it down. Let's do it. The question number one, that is very important, that is going to decide how you start your interview is, what is your name? It sounds funny. I mean, it's very obvious. This is the first question, but you've got to answer this question in the right way. So there are people who will answer this question. So say, my name is Naveen, or I am Naveen, myself Naveen, this is Naveen. There are many ways of answering, but there are only 2 ways accepted in professional etiquette. So these are the 2 ways. One, you can either use your UKG wala language, that my name is whatever your name is. Okay, my name is Naveen, or you can say, I am Naveen. I am Naveen. Apart from these two, no other answer is acceptable. Okay, apart from two, no other answer is acceptable. The second question you got to figure out is, the interviewer will ask you, why do you want this job? They are testing what is your intention behind getting this job. It is merely just to get a job, get some salary and go back home, or you really want to work for the company, or you find something interesting in the company. So the second question is, why do you want this job? The third question, the third question is, why this company? Okay, why in our company, or why in our organization? This will be the third question. You've got to tell them, that is where your research about the company is going to help you. You've got to understand the values of the company and integrate your values with the values of the company. This is the third question that will help you. The fourth question they might ask you is, why? Say, yeah, the second question was, why do you want this job? The fourth question will be, why should we give you this job? Okay, as an interviewer, I can ask you, what makes you competent enough that I should give you this job? This is where you've got to use your understanding, imagination, and creativity. You got to showcase your interesting, your interesting nature needs to come up over here. This is the fourth question. The fifth question, okay, the fifth question, please note it down. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? You've got to explain your plans about your next 5 years. But the hack here is, in respective to the company, not in life. Okay, don't tell them in 5 years I want to visit Goa, I want to go to New York, visit Australia. Okay, in respective to job, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And please, please be, how do I call it, please be practical. Don't say that, sir, in a year I want to become a manager, in 5 years I want to become a CEO of a company. You can see, you can have those dreams, but you've got to be relevant over there. Tell them in 5 years, how are you going to improve yourself? And with your skills, how are you able to benefit the company? At the end, only if you give the company something, the company is going to give you what you desire, right? You've got to understand that. Answer that question properly. That's question number 5. The next two questions can be optional, okay? They may ask you or they may not ask you. All right. The next question that they may or may not ask you is, they might ask you, they will give you a situation. Okay. Say, in case you get this job, in case you get this job, what are the qualifications or how will you benefit? So, do you have team qualities? So, they will ask you all that, your team qualities. They will always ask you, what are your strengths? And you should always talk about your strengths, that I'm good at this, I'm good at that. And also, they will ask you, what is your greatest weakness? I don't believe there's any interview that I have not heard this question. What is your greatest weakness? And please don't say I have no weakness. We are all human beings. No one is perfect. All of us have some weakness or the other. You can tell them, sir, I am not good at managing. Say, I focus on one task for long. I am not very good at multitasking. Okay, you can say that. You can be very honest, because and you need to give a reason for that. I focus on one task at a time because I need to be perfect at that. But I take more time than usual. But I am working on myself and I am developing my skills. So you've got to be very creative with the answers. And if you want any other answers, any other questions, you know my profile. You can go on all the platforms, follow me on all the networking platforms. You can find me, just type my name, The Naveen Dubey. You will find me. DM me, direct message me. I will answer your questions in private, absolutely, because on the webinar forum I might not have that much time. But if you come in person and if you're actually interested in learning, please reach out to me. I will be happy to help. So thank you for coming, thank you for joining, and I hope the webinar has served its purpose, and I hope the time that you have invested, you got some value out of it. So thank you so much, thank you for joining, and let's see what are the questions that we have.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable information. We have a lot of questions being posted. The first question is from Bipya Creations. Please give
Mhm.
an example for applying star techniques, sir.
Applying star technique. All right, so that can be a number of questions. Okay, so say there is a situation given. Say, let's talk about, say, in your department as well. Say if you have a experiment and you say, let's keep it in a behavioral model. Say in a team management, you're managing a team of 5 people you're managing, and 4 are performing very good, but one of them is not performing, and you're the team leader. How do you tackle the situation? This can be in this aspect, or this can be even in subjective matters. How do you accept the star technique? Number one, you've got to understand the situation, why this situation has been created, what is that particular feeling not performing. Number two, you've got to see his task, what task he has been taking, and then what actions are you going to take? Not to fight at him, not to fire him, but to actually help him. You've got to understand that. Start applying the STAR technique. Understand the situation, analyze the task, then determine what actions are you going to take, and then plan your results. And if the results are not working, redo. Okay, redo, because there's always scope for making mistakes. No one is perfect. Go and if you have that situation, talk to people, talk to the other 4 members, understand the task, and then do it. It will vary. The STAR technique might vary in very different situations. It depends on the questions. Yes. The next question, please.
Uh, the next question is from Floman. How to break interview fear, sir?
How to break interview fear? All right. Very natural question, because everyone fears interview because I don't know the reason. This is probably not fear of failure, not very unexpected. So breaking fear is going to be habitual, my dear friends. It's very habitual. It's with practice that it comes. Fear is one way. or you can call it fear comes when you're not prepared, or fear comes when you're not confident enough. So when you're confident, there's no fear. If you're prepared, there's no fear, there's confidence. So fear is only because of lack of confidence. The next question, please.
The next question is from Rahul Pallavi Shekhar. Sir, how to be an interested in work for a long time? After doing some work for a short time, only I eagerly engaged in that. After some time, I lost. Please give suggestions, sir.
All right. How to be interested in a work for a long time after doing some work for a short time? I am equally engaged. All right. So this happens because of how do I call it? Continuity or stress. It is a scientific fact that one can focus on a work at a stretch for not more than 30 to 35 minutes. And if you're on a work eagerly working for more than an hour or two, I strongly suggest to take breaks in between. To work for 45 minutes, take a 10 minutes break, come back fresh and start doing it. Don't overstress yourself. Take breaks, understand, and do it with ease. Okay, you don't have to rush. Do it with ease. The next question, please.
The next question is from Dr. Vidya Saral Chandra. What are the suggestions and tips regarding telephonic interview?
Regarding telephonic interviews, now at this point of time, you're not able to look at the interviewer. You don't have access to their face, or you don't have see all that. On a telephonic interview, it's all about your voice, and it's all about your knowledge, it's all about your content. So the body language absolutely does not play a role over here, but your body language can also be determined by your voice. If you're nervous, your voice might start trembling. So you've got to be confident. Again, the for everything, number one point is confidence. And you've got to be polite. Okay, you've got to be polite, and you've got to be empathetic. You've got to ask the person, say, how many of you after talking to a person say thank you, it was nice talking to you? Or how many of you at the beginning of the interview say hello, how are you doing, or how is your day? Have you ever asked this question, say, to anyone? Not many of us do that. Why? Because we have lost that human connection. So basically, to crack a telephonic interview, you got to be polite, you got to be confident, you got to be ready with what you're speaking, and have clarity in what you're speaking, and understand what the other person is expecting. Here, the major part is you've got to start interpreting. You've got to read the other person's voice as well. Okay? Language, yes, matters. Your pronunciation absolutely matters. What you're going to talk matters, but how you talk is going to matter a lot. So you can use those master of pauses over there and all other techniques. But it's again with practice. The best tip is to talk to your friends, take an interview, and let's give a position of yourself. Say you're applying for a teacher's job. Let your friend ask you questions on telephone and answer the questions. Have it recorded. Ask them to send it to you on WhatsApp. Listen to it and understand how you can develop. It's all through practice. Thank you. The next question, please.
The next question is from Keshavardi SV. How to approach the interviewer in an interview hall, sir?
With a smile. That's it. When you approach an interviewer, you got to be an interesting person, guys. You got to go in, smile, be confident, have a good handshake, say good morning, sir. How are you doing? Never forget to ask how are you doing, because 98% of the candidates who enter into an interview never ask the interviewer how are you doing today, because the interviewer might be stressed. All right, he might have taken like 100 interviews. It's your chance. So you have a chance, you have an opportunity to make him smile. You have an opportunity to show him that you care for him, and that caring will build a bond. So be empathetic, go with a smile. That's it. The next question, please.
The next question is from Sajita. What are all your failures and fears had you had crossed, sir?
All right, my fears, my failures. I believe I'm a master of failures. Okay, I will suggest everyone in this webinar to take yourself as a master of failures. Okay, you've got to fail. The fear part is different. See, failure is going to happen. Failure cannot be undone. But fear is a choice. Either you fear that failure, it's up to you. So failures are always going to be there. And as far as I am concerned, I failed many times. I am expecting to fail many times, and I want to fail many times, because it is only by failure that we understand. See, it's only when you start taking your obstacles into opportunities. Okay, you need to turn your obstacles into opportunities. That is when you understand. Failure is an, many people tell you, right, failure is a stepping stone to success, or failure is a, okay, but I believe failure is absolutely a stepping stone to success, but failure is a part of life. So one simple example that I can give you is not from my life, but from everyone's life. Every one of you, when you were a child, right, you started to learn how to walk. Yes or no? Yes, everyone starts to walk. Now, while that walking process, how many times did you fall? Many times, right? But did you give up on that? No. Did your parents say, okay, my child has failed 7 times, 10 times, 20 times, I don't want him to walk? Does any parent says that? No. Why? Because it is very important for you to stand up on your own feet and walk. You never gave up walking until you actually started to walk. You should never give up on your failures. Never feel demotivated. Always remember that when you were small, when you started walking, you fell numerous times, but then you got up eventually because you wanted to. If you really wanted, failures will never matter. You will start learning from failures. That is how people start learning how to walk, how to ride a bicycle, because everyone in this webinar who is riding a bicycle, majority of them would have always fallen, or have gone bruises and wounds on their hands and legs, but you never stopped. You again stood up, got on the cycle, rode the cycle until you became a master cyclist. Follow that philosophy in your life as well. Thank you. The next question.
The next question is from Sophia Nancy. How to answer this question in interview? Please introduce yourself or tell us about yourself.
Tell us about yourself. Okay, very important question, because when they ask you what is your name, we usually tell them my name is Naveen. But then when the following question is, tell us something about yourself. The mistake that many of us do is we again start from the first. Okay, sir, my name is Naveen. All right. Why do you have to start all again? The person knows your name. At this point of time, tell us something about yourself. Introduce yourself clearly means tell us about your experiences, your qualities, and what has made you to come in this interview. You got to tell them. A very simple example can be, sir, I am a graduate of this thing, I have worked in this project, I have come for this interview, I love this company, my goal is to help this company this way. So you've got to put your goals over there, put your expectations over there, put your strengths over there. You got to tell them about you. Okay, why are you here, what has made you come here, and on what grounds are you standing here. Talk about yourself, but don't go with the normal framing. My name is this, my father's name is this, I studied in this college. You don't have to repeat all that. You know why? Because all those things are available on your resume. Tell us something more about yourself means tell us something that is not in the resume. What was your experience in the say in an internship? You don't mention that in a resume. You just put your internship, what you have done, but how was your experience? You've got to tell that. That's the answer for that.
The next question we have is from Ramesh Srinivasan. He has put forth three questions for you, sir.
All
First
right.
one, how to overcome sweating out of fear in interviews. Second one, how to answer questions for which answers are not known. Third one, how to prepare a fine resume of yourself.
The first question, sweating out fear, it's natural, it will be there. All you have to do is have a good breathing, control your mind, stay calm, and the only way to answer this is talk slowly. Talk slowly, talk efficiently. Don't be in a hurry. Be present over there. Don't run your mind anywhere else. Don't even think about what the interviewer is thinking. At this point of time, we have this fear because we start judging the interviewer. That's wrong. You got to take control of yourself. To answering the questions you do not know, you got to tell them, sir, I'm extremely sorry. I don't have answer for this question. Yeah, you can be very honest at that. And to preparing a resume, there are a number of platforms available. Now, a resume, if you clearly observe, should not go more than 2 pages, and you got to put all your skills over there. You don't have to put unnecessary skills. You got to put all the skills. Never make a resume without reading a job description. Thank you.
The next question is from Vidya Ranjit. Is body language more important than speaking?
All right. Is body language more important than speaking? I would ask the same question back to Vidya. What if I just speak I don't look interested? I can convince you with my voice, but my body language says I am not interested. In a classroom, the teacher is speaking, and the at many places people speak. You listen to them, but you always judge them because you don't have because you don't count on the question. I'm 100% there. Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the next question, please.
The next question we have is from Pavitra Murugan. I just wanted to know how can I get rid of the dilemma kind of state I'm in. Can you give us some suggestions?
Okay, I think this question is not clearly framed because dilemma. If you can give me an example, that will be a much more better thing because not much understanding how what dilemma we are talking about in here. So let's see. What are the dilemma kind of interview? So dilemma is again a confusion. If you have a confusion, clarify. Ask the interviewer that I am not able to understand the question. Can you please repeat it? Have the clarity of the question and then answer. So clarify it at that time. Yeah. The next question, please.
Thank you, sir. That's it we have for now.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope so. I guess there are a few questions that we have answered, but if there are any more questions, you can always connect with me on my other profiles, other channels, and we can help you out over there.
Thank
And
you,
at the
sir.
same time, yeah. So one more thing, I'm dropping a link for the form. Is it okay if we put this link on the live webinar for participants and click on the link in the chat? So if that is okay, can you please check that out? What is it? Tell me. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, I'm done. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your speech was really informative and engaging.
Thank you so much.
Uh, Now I would like to propose the vote of thanks. The best and beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt by heart. Thank you is one such prayer among them. I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this webinar such a resounding success. On behalf of the Department of Microbiology, Ethiraj College for Women, and other fraternity of the college, I would like to extend a hearty thanks to our speaker, Mr. Naveen Dubey, founder and CEO, TNT International and New Dynamics, for making this webinar interesting and meaningful. His presentations on the art of cracking interviews was, was mind blowing. Thank you, sir, for your very interesting and alluring address. I would
Thank you
like to
so
thank
much. It's a
management
pleasure.
for giving us this opportunity to conduct this webinar. Heartfelt thanks to our beloved HOD, Dr. Krishna Prema ma'am, for her moral support and guidance. A special thanks to our staff members, student organizers, and coordinators for making this webinar a great success. Finally, the participants who have turned up in such great numbers, not only from our college but also from other colleges. Thank you for your active participation and coordination. I thank all for your cordial coordination and support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the participants for joining. I would also thank the management of Etraj College for Women for organizing this webinar. And I think this topic has been very crucial and is the need of the hour. So I thank the entire management, the Department of Microbiology, HOD ma'am, the organizers, and the participants for joining. I hope you have had a great session. Thank you so much.
Dear participants, I request you all to fill up the feedback form for today's session being posted in the chat box. Thank you. And tomorrow's session for webinar will be held at 11 a.m. The topic for tomorrow is entrepreneurship opportunities for life science students. The speaker for tomorrow is Dr. Saumini Kumaran, founder of Proteogenetics Biotech LLP. I request you to participate tomorrow also. The link will be sent to the participants through the email. Thank you. Thank you all for your active participation. Have a nice day.